For many, it's the best weekend of the year. Preliminary final weekend. It's been raining in Melbourne. The Brisbane Lions are congregating down one end of the ground. They take on the Cats. September, next Saturday, is the big prize. It is Brisbane to take on Geelong in the preliminary final. So much to get through tonight. Chiefs quiz, cult hero Tim Notting. Look forward to chatting with him from Brisbane. Grant Birchall from Geelong. Any bets, if you don't mind. They're the guests coming your way, plus the top five. And I look around the box and I drove up today and I thought to myself, this is a privilege to work on a preliminary final with four fellas I call mates. And I thought I'd give them a big pump up and say how pumped I am to be here. And then I walked in and there's just a real pervading air of negativity in the box. We need to turn around
I didn't
quickly.
detect it, Howie, because
I
I sense nothing apart from joy here tonight. And what I love, you look at logic says that the Cats win tonight. Just pound for pound skill and where they're at. But you always know that there's a twist in a final. And I'm looking out at the MCG. The Brisbane Lions will give themselves a red-hot chance, as they should, with the ultimate prize, a grand final. I can't wait. It's going to be special.
Absolutely, Duke. I can't wait for this game as well. Just awards coming our way, left, right and centre. And then I did an event today with Damo, which was a great event. It was an invoice that went in, Howard. So it's a really good couple of weeks.
And we got Damien Barrett here with all the news. Hello to you, Damo.
Hey, Howie. I'm going to miss you guys. It's our last Friday.
It is. Yeah. But we're here on Grand Final Day. We're calling the Grand Final this team.
This team?
Oh, are you not invited to Grand Final?
Well, I'll be covering it for the Triple M Saturday Rub.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Outside.
Outside the ground. Righto.
Yeah.
Well, the rest of us are in here, which is good news.
Ship off, Damo.
I didn't know that. And I talked about a pervading sense of negativity, so I introduced Jason Dunstall. Always nice to see my hero, Mr. 1254 himself. Hello, Jason.
Why would you preempt that with a comment about negativity? Mate, preliminary final is probably the best weekend of the year.
That's what I thought when I
We've got a
walked in.
couple of cracking games. We're alive. We're at the game live. I mean, you can't ask for more than that, can you? Please.
Chiefs
You're being Mr. Negative.
baseline is we're alive.
Hey,
One of the great
The heart's
backseat
still
drivers,
pumping
Chief.
How did you go? Normally
drivers.
I drive you. I didn't get to give you a lift today, which has upset my rhythm. How was the trip in Nathan's car?
it was interesting. I was...
In the Kia Carnival, Chief?
No.
No?
Pulled up in a Merc.
Oh,
I was,
fine, mate.
I was 20 metres away, walking towards it, and he just sat on the horn all the while, saying, hurry up. And then I think our Snorkel, our producer's got a photo that he might post on the website.
Triple M Football is not a website, Chief.
What is it?
It's not a website, Chief. We're putting on Instagram. We've moved past website.
Are we on Instagram now?
We're not on a website. TripleMFooty.com.au.
It wasn't easy. It wasn't easy getting in there.
Was it not, Chief?
No.
Why was that?
Because my head hit the roof. It's a car.
He's one of the biggest men of all time.
It's a car for small people. Duke would not. You'd have to lie Duke in long ways.
Right.
Chief has got a bit of the Rod Carters about him on the back of... head to Triple M Footy and have a look. He had the tilt all the way there, Nate. Have you bought a little tiny little car, have you, or not?
It's just a sedan. It's a small sedan.
You're a little man, though.
Yes.
Is it
Who am I, Duke?
How did he receive?
You are a little man. That wasn't a backhanded. It's just
Yes, it was.
A little bit of a...
How did he receive being cramped in the back, our man?
I wasn't overly happy.
Right.
And Snorkel couldn't figure out how to put the seat forward at the front.
Well, you told him you're telling him the wrong buttons to use,
he's
and it's your car.
Well,
an
yeah,
aggressive
one
person in
thing
a
you
car.
know about Snorkel is he's not going to press any buttons, so
safe
he'll be
there.
fine there.
But wouldn't you have thought Snorkel would know the status arrangements, that he should have got
You'd
out of
think
the front seat
I would have
to
thought
let
so.
Chief get in the front seat?
So did Chief give a bit of feedback to you on your driving?
Not just any feedback to anybody. My driving, the people out the window, the people
No,
walking across
no.
the road, just feedback everywhere. How
Politicians,
I have
you've
made-
driven him,
Now, hang on.
and the feedback is 360.
One day, if you hit record on your phone and put it to air, it'll be the greatest 6 minutes people had ever heard on FM radio.
Let me tell you about Nathan's driving,
Here we go.
and this is a fact.
Yep.
For Nathan, blinkers are optional. And most of the time doesn't bother with them. And I'm talking about when it's peak hour traffic and he decides to change lanes. He figures, they'll see me nosing in, so they'll stop. Why give them an indication? Why would I possibly want to alert anyone to the fact that I might be changing direction when I can just push in? Don't expect everyone to be okay
Do you
with it.
find though, Nathan, it's like driving with your grandpa with Chief because he's like, you got to turn left up here in 4.5 kilometres. You're in the wrong lane.
It's overbearing.
Oh, is it ever?
Chief gives you a bit of instruction, does he? On
He's a nervous
really?
passenger.
I wouldn't have thought so.
Nathan?
But when you know the
He's over the
conditions in
top.
my area, I try to give them a pointer as to what the best lanes are because of the traffic
Sounds
flow.
like,
But
sounds
hey,
like reasonable advice. Jake.
they know better. They can drive without blinkers. So now I just sit there and I'm amused if we get here in one piece.
He
It's all
tells
good.
you about changing lanes 8 minutes before the decision needs to be made.
This reminds
It's
me of a
like with your
story.
grandpa.
Mick Malloy hasn't driven for about 25 years. I don't think there's any news in that, but his brother Roo used to drive him alone, and Mick would reach over and go the horn across that, and Roo blown up and said, "Don't touch the horn again. That's just totally inappropriate. If I'm driving, you're the passenger." He went and bought his own horn, Mick. Bought his own horn as a backseat driver. So Chief's got a little bit of that about him.
Yeah, he's got a lot about it.
I'm just concerned.
It's obviously it's a very busy time of the year at this time of year, and there's a lot of functions on. It was legendary the year after Luke Hodge retired, Damo, that he did enough functions. The figure was floating around that he'd made 100,000 over the week leading into the
Hodgie.
grand final. That was a
Brisbane.
football rumour.
Well, I
when he
think
came back to
I
Melbourne.
think Juddy doubled that one year.
Juddy
Yeah.
took a lot out of it.
And Brian Taylor's got everyone covered. no
Yeah,
matter
he's
what
the
happens.
star. So what I'm saying
I just
is
hope you're paying tax.
there's a lot of functions, Das. There's breakfasts, there's lunches and dinners, and like any finals performance, some, when they get asked to do these, they step up, John O'Brien style in the grand final, and others wither under the heat of the public glare. And I'm informed that Nathan went to a function today where we got more wither than stand-up.
I did go to a function today, and I walked in, and I thought the function hadn't started. There was that much chatter in the room. It was like knives and forks clinking everywhere, and I thought I was late. And I thought, I'm not late. I'll go and find myself. Actually, there's Damo. He's actually talking up the front, and I couldn't hear him from the back of the room.
Oh,
That's
no.
how much chatter there was when Damo was talking, and the amount of times that Damo said, just a little bit of quiet, just for a moment. We need to get to a couple of important points. But everybody just kept talking, kept clinking their glasses, and no one was listening to you, Damo.
No, I can't refute that first opening 5, 8, 10 minutes, Brownie. It did need a little reset, and thankfully you helped me out after it with your performance.
What was interesting, though, and he changed tack from the normal MC. So he's obviously been watching our man Brian Taylor do some work, because all of a sudden he stepped down off the lectern, off the stage, and he
Started
started
roaming a
doing a bit of roaming Barrett.
no.
So he went over and he interviewed 3 different people in the crowd roaming
It's what
Barrett
the event
style.
organiser had asked me to do. Nathan.
I'm told quite methodically that you
Methodically
requested that.
We've actually got a bit of
Methodical.
audio that I thought we'd have to play, but our producer hasn't got it. But I'm prepared to play a little video from there straight into a microphone.
I reckon that
Hopefully
makes sense.
you can hear it. Should we give it a go?
Will it go on our website?
I don't know where the video came from, but this is audio of Damo trying to command what can only be described as a very disinterested audience.
Road safety message. Drive safely and be the reason everyone gets home safely. The
Good
charity
message.
partner today, for today's luncheon is the Melbourne Indigenous Transition Scheme. This is how Indigenous students from regional and remote communities to achieve their education aspirations in Melbourne.
Nobody listening.
People, there are
At all.
many prizes for you to win today, but just keep your attention just for a moment.
Nobody's
There's a
listening.
silent
Do you know the interesting thing about that is people weren't paying attention. The one thing you would expect, Duke, if you're hosting a function, is that those close to you might actually help you and pay attention and get those around them to pay attention.
Certainly the first handful of tables, you'd like to get their attention.
That apparently
what-
wasn't the case.
I get what you're doing, and I concede I was 6, 7, maybe 8 goals down at quarter time. So,
But he's openly potting you.
No, but he's got reason to. What I did get told after the event, Chief, and this day did come from the guy who was running the speakers, he hadn't turned the speakers on up the back.
Oh, that's the old good tradesman does it, mate. It was a speaker issue.
Don't blame the AV guys, Damo.
No, I'm not. I said I was 8 goals down.
Mate, that's like
Brownie.
that's like in TV.
Joe the cameraman.
having a go at the makeup artist, and that's just you never do
I might
that.
have been 9 goals down.
You know, I want to back you up, don't you?
Yeah,
But
but-
if people up the back can't hear, they make it known very quickly.
They do.
They go, hey, we
No,
can't
they
hear
did.
up here.
They did, yeah. So, but we
So-
fixed it up. Brownie was good. Brownie saved me, actually. He was funny.
Was he?
He was actually very funny.
He's
Had a
never
good day.
But what happens, Das, is there's so many functions that function organisers need to get on in July, August, start booking their MCs. But apparently at this function they left it late.
That's not true, actually, but yeah.
What type of day? This is your area. What type of remuneration compensation was Damo taking for this today?
Remuneration for Damo as the host.
Yep.
I would have thought $2,000 today.
Right.
Am I anywhere?
He's
around
laughing
the
at
mark? A little bit more.
He got double that.
No comment.
No. Okay.
Which one of your two managers or three managers organised that Damo?
Well,
Was there one that's their specific portfolio?
This might have been sourced outside that, Das.
Really?
He's probably going to be listening to this now, and he'll probably want his cut, won't he?
So Chris Giannopoulos didn't organise it for you?
No, he didn't.
The
awkward.
bigger function that you were
Doesn't
involved
organise
with.
anything.
Well done to you and the entire team at the Australian Football Media Awards organisation to put on a magnificent awards night.
Were you there, Howie?
Which
I wasn't
Damo's
good
the
mate.
I wasn't invited.
In all honesty, Howie, nothing. Just take me out. It was actually a really good night,
That's what I'm
and unusually. I shouldn't say unusually. 2 years of no event for
Yes.
COVID for obvious reasons. Look, well done to entire media organisations who attended. Browny came, and even he, I think, felt it was.
It was a good night,
Yeah.
and our man organised it, and he must be commended. We take the mickey out of everyone in here, but the night was brilliant. It ran smoothly. It was quick, and Damo was the man who put it all together, along with Sophie Maguire, who's Matty Maguire's wife and Luke Ball's sister. So she did a great job as well.
Nathan, did I'm sure someone told me that you won an award on the night.
We won an award, Chief, for
We did
Triple M, the Friday Huddle.
For what?
It was the most
The diversity and inclusion.
and inclusivity award when we had Danny Laidley on mid-year. You missed that show.
Oh, I wasn't there. So, okay. So you guys won an award. Well done.
Well, be fair to say,
Congratulations.
Danielle won the award because of the way she beautifully spoke, and Nathan was lucky enough to go up and receive
accept it, yes.
as I understand. How'd your speech go?
It was very quick.
Did you go for any
Howard.
crispy ones,
I
or did
didn't
you-
go for
No,
any crispy
he's
ones.
right.
Straight to the point, I thanked us and Triple M, and I said obviously the night was about Danny. We all learnt a lot, and she's presented a short video, and that went, and then I went down to my seat. Wasn't about me, Duke.
Didn't get a chance to thank God. That's normally a good time to do it at an award ceremony from what I've seen.
I thought about it. I had presented award to Sam Landsberger, and I thought about saying a little crispy off the top.
Oh,
that
did you?
His dad saved my hair many years ago by putting me onto finasteride.
Dr. J.
Yeah,
He got the
Jake
WADA
Landsberger.
exemption, did he?
Got the WADA exemption, wrote to WADA.
Dash, you're always a big advocate of groups awarding themselves awards.
Oh, I think it's fantastic, Howie. I think not enough. I think we could maybe do a half-year version of that too, Howie, like a mid-year just to get our eye in as an industry. I think that would be good, and then maybe we'd do another one at the end of the year, Damo. But I haven't been for a while. I haven't been invited.
It's been 20 years, hasn't it?
It's been a while. But it sounds
She
like
got offered something under the table.
well, it was a long time ago. Times have changed under Damo's stewardship. So maybe it's time to come back. Damo.
Well, if you do share that view, Das, you should tell the people who represent you at the organisations you work for to
Was I
stop
nominated?
submitting you
I'm not-
for awards.
No, I didn't suggest that.
You,
Damo.
you
I
get
was-
regular entries in
I
for
was
these
going
awards.
for double Damo, not less.
What was
So,
he nominated
yeah,
for?
what
I
was it?
actually
And who
don't
beat
know,
him?
but I know in the past I don't know if he was this year, but in the past 100% has been regularly, multiple times per year nominated for his.
You know what was
Look,
a good speech?
What?
Though? Mark Robinson was honoured with Hall of Fame. So
Congratulations.
he became the Hall of
Well
Fame.
deserved.
And he got up and he spoke very well. He spoke from the heart about where he came from. And he's thanked, I counted about 38 people at the Herald Sun that he'd worked with. And he thanked everyone except one person from the Herald Sun. He left out the 39.
Chairman of the
Did
awards
not
night.
mention Damo at all.
Snub. You say it was a snub.
It was a snub.
A deliberate snub.
In a really good speech, and he left out Damo, which for me made the speech even better.
Damo, I have been to those nights before because it's a fairly competitive environment, the media, for those who don't understand. And we sit here tonight and we've got all of, as we look down the line, there's all of the other stations. And so I've seen more open heckling at those nights than ever before when someone gets an award and a table feels that maybe that wasn't warranted. Have you been able to get on top of that? Because that can get a bit unsavoury.
No, it was. I say unusually because, to your point, that often is the case. It was a weird love-in. I don't know what happened.
was
I
a
think
good
it might have
feel.
just been.
It was a good feel.
Yeah, and to your point, Browny, Mark Robinson and I spoke. after the
Breaking
event.
bread.
Hang on.
Spoke. We have spoken in the past, but we spoke.
I heard he called out to you, and you went up.
I know,
to him.
we mutually spoke.
At the same time.
Yeah.
Was there a hug?
Good. There wasn't a hug. There was a shake of the hands.
A hearty
And a
handshake.
Good.
It was a genuine. Yeah.
Would you say he's crossed off the list now of
He wasn't on my list. I may have been on his list.
How
but he
long did you
wasn't on
talk
mine.
for, Damo?
5-10 minutes.
This is the biggest story you've broken all year. The fact you and Robbo are back tight, which fills me with joy.
No, we spoke.
Okay. You're delineating.
What
at
sort
that
of-
point.
Who
What
did
did you-
most of the talking?
I think it was reasonably even, actually. Chief.
Right.
If you-
Did anyone apologise for anything?
No.
What did you talk about to him, Damo?
I just said, well done.
Well, that's not a
No,
5-minute conversation or
No,
10-minute
but
conversation.
it went on beyond that, Chief.
So how many
So
times
what
did
did you
say,
talk
well
about,
done?
Damo?
We've got to go to an ad break, Brownie.
No, we don't.
No,
We've
plenty of time.
gone way beyond
No,
that.
we've
got
just
lots of
thrown the
time.
rundown out the window. Dave.
We're all intrigued.
You're good to go.
It feels a bit disingenuous, Damo, your thoughts at the moment.
What's disingenuous about me speaking to someone?
Well, the fact you don't want to expand on it suggests that you're not that comfortable about it. I didn't want to get to an ad break.
We spoke about it, to Brownie's
About
point.
what?
The speech was a highlight of the evening. A highlight of the evening, which I did relay.
Okay, that's about 14 seconds worth.
No, but Chief, unlike you, people can then respond to that, and then you then say something else. And you
We're
Well,
just-
remember, I know the other bloke too. Not the two warmest people I've ever met in my life. So just trying to work out how a 10-minute conversation might go between.
well,
the two
maybe
of
it
you.
was 5 or 6.
No, you told me
Oh,
10.
I said 5 or 10.
I'm happy, Damo. I'm happy that you've done some breaking.
And well done to you guys too. Well
And
done.
I'm
I
glad-
applaud you.
Well done. And
I
I'm glad
distance
that-
myself from it, but I applaud you.
I'm glad that you apologised to Mark, and we've got that all on the table. And
No
that is
apology.
fantastic.
Just talking. It's just
Top 5. Hey, anyone give Brisbane a genuine chance tonight?
I'm hoping. I'm
Hope.
hoping.
It's
They've-
hope for you,
I
Chief.
think they've developed a lot of confidence the last 2 weeks with good wins.
Hope rather than genuine chance.
Not for me.
Yeah, a bit with us on this one. Hope.
All right. Rain has been around the MCG. Top 5 next. Chiefs quiz. Eddie Betts, Grant Birchall, and Tim Notting, cult hero. The man they call Possum. What do they call him, Possum? I think he's hairy. Very, very. Okay, we'll get to the bottom
Where's
of
the
that. when he
trophy,
joins
Nate,
us.
by the way?
From McDonald's and Ream Hot Water.
It's claimed it.
Triple M Rocks footy. What do you got, Noodles?
All right, well, I thought it's the end of the season. So last Friday night we're going to be together.
Yeah, it
so
is. Yep.
I thought
Sad
leading
moment.
team style 360-degree
Really?
feedback. So a positive and a negative, just something you probably need to work on for next season.
The 360s when we ever go back at you too.
No, it's just me having a go here.
Sounds more like
there's
180.
There's a positive. There's a positive here for everybody. And
Or a
Chief, I'm
45.
going to start with you. But the positive for you, Chief, is our ratings this year at Triple M. Since you've come over from taken over from Juddy, I think the show has just gone world class. Your humour's been outstanding. Beat the Chief was good. I don't think we could have had a better person come in to this box, this radio box.
A chief bump is there.
I think there's a big
Chief
bump
makes
when it
spike.
comes to the Chief. I
Yeah.
think there's a
Really?
spike when Chief came in.
Now
and
the
we're-
negative,
and
please.
well, the
You know what I
negative-
love? He's more unnerved by the positive.
Well,
Yeah, it was.
you were a 90s icon, Chief, and I feel like that sometimes you're still living in the late 80s, early 90s, and you need to have a look at your wardrobe. You're still wearing Jerry Seinfeld type stuff, white sneakers with jeans and sporting tops.
Are they the same
just-
Hirachis that you wrapped up last week when you saw them?
Yeah, it is, but I don't wear them with jeans, Chief. So just a little bit of feedback, particularly, with your social life. You probably need to.
There's a bit of Jerry Seinfeld about the chief, isn't there?
What form of his social life?
I just like his social
Geez,
life.
you're gutless.
Yeah.
You are so
When I,
Careful.
well, I got told not to go there again, so I'm not going
Hold
there
on, who's
again.
next?
Told
Who's next,
what,
Nate?
where to go, not go.
Not to go
Where?
near his social life. Look, Damo, positive. You
Oh.
broke the story that everybody wanted to break this year. Clarko to North Melbourne,
yeah, well
and
done.
you'd been working
Yeah.
on that. The last story you broke before, that was 2012 when the Bombers were, but that was, everybody wanted that story this year. And as we've spoken about, everybody polled in.
And he was
Good
happy
stories,
to-
though,
And,
Brownie.
and they followed you in. So then Mitch Cleary went, and they all went after that, Johnny Ralph. But Damo set the agenda on that day. But I worry about you, Damo. I
Do you?
worry about the amount of enemies you have. And I think you need to go to self-defence classes. Just for your own well-being. As we know that when there's a noise in the house, you make Janine get up. And self-defence classes with the amount of people that want to punch the living daylights out of you.
No, it's a dwindling number these days, Brownie. You know it is.
No, it's not.
I've patched up every one bar one, I reckon.
And I think No Breakfast Radio has you sharper than ever.
I feel
Yeah.
that.
I think
I'd agree.
everything this year has
Yep.
been class. It's
Yeah, I
turned
agree.
to gold. Your calling has been outstanding.
Yep.
You've
Thank
been
you,
a better. You've been a better bloke. You've been
Yep.
more time for
Can't coming off
everybody.
a pretty high bar too, so that's.
I mean, when you're tired and you get grumpy sometimes, but this year I feel like I've got the best version of Luke Darby.
Yeah, I'd agree with that,
I
Browny.
agree, I
Yeah,
agree.
So the thing you need to work on.
Look at the
And-
joy. Here we go.
we get a lot of guests in the box, Duke.
Oh,
And
here we go.
I just feel like you need to work on your positioning in photos. You get a little bit handsy.
Touchy-feely.
I've seen a few photos this year. You posted one on your own Instagram a couple of weeks ago. You had this huge hand on the guy next to you. I'm like, you don't need to touch anybody.
Really?
And
Hands
then
off on him?
A few weeks ago, we had Daniel Patrick in here. Like, you almost couldn't see his face. Darce had his hand so far across his shoulder. So you just get a bit handsy.
A little bit.
Yeah. So
Take that on board.
just keep an eye on where your body is.
Feedback's a gift, Howie.
Fair best
in the
gift.
photos.
Feedback's a gift.
It's a gift.
And Howie,
Yep.
the positive for you, your star has risen unbelievably this year.
Thank you,
And it's
mate.
on the back of you being a good guy, and you genuinely are a good guy,
Thank you,
and
mate.
you're a great host.
Thank
I
you.
don't think there's too many better hosts in the country right now than what you do, and that's why you get the big deals like the Shaq deal.
Thank you, Nathan.
But if you could work on something I think you need to eat a fair bit of humble pie over the summer just to bring you back to level pegging with everybody else, okay? So
Okay.
just work on a
Humility.
little bit of humble pie over
We've
the
tried
off-season.
to tell him that for a couple of years, though, Browny.
Okay, no, that's
That
good.
can't be it. 'Cause you've only done 4 people.
Yeah, well, that's right, Chief.
It's a top 5.
Okay, so I did.
you gotta do
I-
yourself.
look, Snorkel told me to hurry up, so I did
Do
have
yourself.
Snorkel, who
Well,
Do yourself, Nate.
a positive for Tunnicliffe was documentaries are world class
Yep,
this year.
they
The documentaries have been outstanding.
Yep.
But as
Winning
Damo
awards.
needs to have self-defence class, he probably needs to get on the pads and work on his reflexes because our livelihoods are in his hands when it comes to something. And things slip out, Chief. Things slip out. And the dump button is not near where Snorkel's hands are when they need to be. So he needs to work on the pads.
Chief, would you like to
Yeah, I think we
maybe
need to
give
respond.
Nathan
No.
some 360?
No.
I'll
Not
go
for
the
me to-
positive. I'll go for the positive
Yeah.
for him. I think he looks better than he's ever looked. He looks sharp. He's beautifully in love with his wife. He's done a magnificent job on Sunday. He's a family man. He's about the Lord.
The Shakers have been a
The
great
Shakers have
influence
been
in
a
his
massive
life.
positive. He's trying to expand. His cricket commentary was outstanding. I think that there is massive positives for Nathan, and he's only going to get bigger and better. That's the positives.
Yep.
That's not for me. I'm not a negative person. So
You know what the negative is?
what's that,
Tell
Charlie?
us,
There actually isn't one.
Right.
Because he's the happiest man
He is.
I would know. The happiest family man I could remember for so long, Nate. I actually couldn't find something wrong. You can't fix your height. I mean, that's just a matter of fact. That's got nothing to do with you.
Or the
That's
really little
genetics.
arms. I mean, that's
genetics. But, mate,
and the
there is
massive
no
calves.
negative, Nate. There's
My-
no negative.
It's just if it's sustainable, though, Chief. You just
Well,
you just hope
that's the thing.
just hope
You
he can
don't
keep
think
it
it's
up.
sustainable?
Well, I've known Nate for a long time, and I think he's in a purple patch as well. I just
You
hope
think he'll revert to type, though?
I hope not.
Right.
But the jury's out yet. Nate.
A little bit of news from you, Damo, before we get stuck right into this one.
Yeah, and it's sad news, Howie, with the passing today of Allen Aylett at the age of 88. Former champion player for North Melbourne, 220 games, but his impact in football went beyond being a member of the Roos team of the century. It went to him being a chairman of that football club, North Melbourne, Chief, when they won their first premiership in the then VFL, 1975, and by 1977, when they won their second premiership, Howie, he was in charge of the VFL as it was then, and a famous administrator. He's probably had more impact in terms of the general well-being of the game beyond his impact as a player and an administrator at North Melbourne. So, and then came back at North Melbourne for a second stint as president. So, yeah, just a fantastic person. Just one of the genuinely good people to have been part of the AFL system initially as a great player and then administrator, and someone who always had the greater game and the greater good at heart, even when he was at North Melbourne. I mean, even the second stint for him at that time, he wanted to take the club to the Gold Coast. I mean, that went against what other people wanted to do, but he was doing that for the national comp as much as anyone. So it is a sad passing. How he reported last week that Josh Carr would be leaving Fremantle to go to Port Adelaide. That has been confirmed today. And my take on this is there's nothing attached to this formally, but my take on this, he is now beautifully positioned to take over from Ken Hinkley. Now Ken Hinkley, as we know, goes into 2023 as a contracted Port Adelaide coach. And again, we don't know what's going to happen beyond that point. Ken doesn't know what's going to happen beyond that point. He will be planning and preparing to try and win a premiership in that season. And obviously, if that happens, he would be continued. But if it doesn't go that way, with Josh Carr now on the books, Chief, and being taken out of the Justin Longmuir system, which he'd been in for 3 years as a Fremantle Docker senior assistant coach, making the decision to go back to being a senior assistant at the club he played a lot of his football at and played in a premiership in 2004 with. He's beautifully positioned to be a senior coach potentially as early as 2024.
Well, he is. I mean, unless you're inside the club, you don't know if they're being groomed or not, because it's so hard to get a handle on who the best assistants are, and sometimes they're not the ones you think. They're the ones that perhaps don't have the same fanfare to do with their name or their playing career and their history or whatever, but once you get inside the clubs, you know who the really highly rated ones are, and ultimately they'll be the ones that'll get the senior jobs, I suspect.
Chief, are you a fan of the idea of succession planning? If what Damo's saying is the case, that you bring someone into the system and try and usher them through into the role?
Not especially, Duke. I think your one premise that you work on, and the one thing if you're involved in a club, your one obligation is to get the best people that you possibly can. So you have the best coach, and when you find someone better or you think he's not the best coach, then you make a change. But I think it's just too hard, because things change over the course of 1 year, let alone 2, 3, 4 years. I just think it's really difficult to try and forecast what's going to happen a few years down the track.
Darcy, he coached in his own right in the Stanford and won a premiership, I think it was 2018, and then his friendship as a player, as it was, with Justin Longmuir at his second stint at an AFL club. This is Josh. Got him then across to the Dockers, and prior to being a coach in the Stanford, he had coached at Port Adelaide. So again, there's nothing attached to that, and I don't expect the club to even link his name to the next coach at this early stage. But I do know that he's made the decision thinking I believe he's made the decision thinking that's a possibility, and it could well be.
But they may not be succession planning. They may just see him as a great assistant coach, and then you find out once they're in the system whether they can go further.
Yeah. And speaking of, obviously, coach vacancies, Howie, you spoke and released in a two-part phase in the past week and a half, the interview you did with James Hird on the Howie Games, and that's obviously got a lot of traction and a lot of airplay, and particularly this week just gone when it became official and public that he was part of the subcommittee's interviewing of candidates for the vacancy in that Essendon Football Club space.
So it's an amazing story, Howie. Sorry to jump in, and well done to you for getting.
I had nothing to say.
Getting that interview. Whatever way you dice it, it is one of the most extraordinary stories in football, really. And if it is that Essendon decide that James Hird is the best candidate, for that to come full circle, I find just unbelievable and fascinating. And look, if you believe in fairy tale, imagine if he does come back and take them to success. And the fact that that's even happening to me is an amazing story.
Can it happen, Nath?
Well, it can happen, Jason, but I'd be worried, like, you step out of football, and if you're out of football for 2 years, so many things change. You had football for 3, 4. He's been out for 7 years, so much changes in that time for all of a sudden just to pick it up and become... I've got no doubt that if he got there, he'd do a good job, but just 7 years out of the game, no assistant coach... No, nothing. I just think it's a massive job to do after that amount of time. But if they do, I mean, you wouldn't stand in their way, and good luck to them, because everybody deserves a second chance.
I agree with the second chance component of this, Brownie, and I would like James Hird to get a second chance. I just can't believe the second chance could come at the club that he ultimately had oversight.
Well, because they're entertaining it, and they've been told to take out fact of what's happened in the history.
Well, you can't take it out. There were 34 players missed a season of their football careers.
But they've been told to take it out. So the people doing the job of selecting the coach have been told, park that to this side.
Is that public, is it? That's the case?
Just how they interview and how they go in this interview process.
How do you know that,
judge them on them to start with.
Well, told you that.
I'm sorry, you cannot take out that past with James Hird when it comes to the Essendon Football Club.
I find it hard to as well, but I think
who you been talking to, Nate?
That's what they've been instructed
gave you that
to.
insight.
That's what they've been instructed
How
to
do you know?
Damien.
How do you know they've been instructed?
I just know, Jason.
What's your source?
Who gives up their sources? Ask Damien to give up his source.
You normally give up everything.
If it was you, I'd give you up straight away.
That's a new fact that hasn't been tabled before, and I'm interested.
Trying to find out if it's a credible source.
I actually am too. The subcommittee's been told to disregard.
I believe so, Damien.
Yeah,
Yes.
I'm not doubting. I'm just saying I haven't heard that.
Yeah,
angle.
Just
But-
on how they present
But I look.
in the interview process.
I just find it staggering that 34 players under his watch missed a full season of their football careers because of something that he ultimately was in charge of at that point in time. And we've all got the versions and we've all heard what he's had to say. And we heard him say to Howie that there were two people he most blames still for what happened. And I didn't hear enough remorse in that interview, Howie, as much as it was more than he'd said, I think, prior to that time.
I would be absolutely stunned if it happened. I mean, it would be an amazing story and it'd be fairy tale sort of like. But to me, going backwards to go forwards is kind of, I don't know, it doesn't sit right with me for whatever reason. And I'm only looking from the outside. So those people entrusted with making the decision will make the best decision they possibly can for the Essendon Football Club. And the sooner they get things back on track, the better for the competition.
Joel Selwood tonight breaks Michael Tuck's record.
Equals
Michael Tuck's record.
39. Yep. Finals.
39 finals.
It's 2 full seasons, Howie, of AFL football.
It's a joke.
Playing
39
finals.
finals.
Tucky played till he was, 38, 39?
39.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's an unbelievable record. It's
Extraordinary.
39.
It's 2 seasons.
2 seasons of finals.
Yeah.
Quite extraordinary.
Joke.
Extraordinary performance.